I hope you're well. I'm just going to put a video out today because it's post eclipse and we've got a really nice moon coming up, which is in Leo. So that's really positive energy, and that we're coming into, quite flamboyant, outrageous, can be. Exciting, dramatic, all the things associated with Leo, self-aggrandizing as well, so really positive for like aspirations and intentions with your life, that kind of stuff, manifesting through positive energy, positive vibration, positive intention. So it's a really good moon coming up, whereas the one that we just went through was very heavy, very karmic. There's a lot of stuff around family and clearing for the bloodline, clearing dark energy, that kind of stuff. That was quite intense. Of course, everything is, on track to bring us into more truth, more authenticity, and mastery of our potential, right? Basically. So before I start to read, I just wanted to say as well, first of all, for anybody who's just coming here for the first time, my videos are labelled Divine Path. They used to be labelled Twin Flame, but I put them out as Divine Path because it's less controversial, it's less attractive to people who are not on this journey, but are attracted to the videos about it for some reason. There's a lot of people that watch that just, I think they watch out of curiosity to see if it's them, and it's not, and I don't know, anyway, whatever. So I just put it under the different title really because it's kind of bringing it back to basics of what it is, because it's only really partly to do with another person. It's a lot more to do with your service, your life purpose, your energetic life purpose around changing dark energy to light energy, negative vibration to positive vibration, lower to higher. So that's kind of the overlapping journey that you're on, that kind of surrounds everything that might be about just two people. It's surrounded by something much bigger that two people connection is only part of. So that's why it's called Divine Path. So it's basically what is out there as twin flame, but I don't really use those words anymore because they're so they have a lot of one meaning to a lot of people. That's not really what they are. Anyway, hopefully it'll be clear as I go along. And then I also wanted to say thank you to everybody who's ever bought a reading off me in the past. Just because I realised the other day when I was doing one, I realised, again, how much I've learned through doing this, what a valuable experience it's been for me on my path, and life-changing, completely life-changing. And I only started the videos on YouTube because I had a dream where I was told to put a video out. So it wasn't like I was going out there to try and do it. I just knew I had to. So, and what came back to me from doing that, the readings that I did for people, like I say, all of it was life-changing, really, and still is. So, yeah, thank you. And then, also it did feed and clothe me and allow me to change my life as well through the financial aspect of it. So, big thank you for that. And what else did I want to say? I think that's it, actually. I'm going to shuffle some cards and see what they say about what we need to know right now. I hope you're all doing well after the moon. I hope you've all, come into some clarity and more love following that, whatever came to you, whatever you brought to yourself through that eclipse window. Because there's a lot of really important upgrading going on through what we're led to understand about ourselves and our incarnation and our being here, and our relationships. Okay. Okay. Right. So, the first thing to say is that you're never stuck. All right. Even when you feel like you're stuck energetically, or in your life, or you feel like you're blocked, or you feel like something isn't right, that's never the case. Okay. When you're feeling really, really negative about things, when you're experiencing a lot of negative emotions, negative thoughts, negative energy, either putting it out or just experiencing it around you, it's never that is never random, and it's never wrong, basically, because it's something that you're always going to learn from. Okay, so it's either like you're going to learn through the negativity that is coming at you through experience, people, or that you're putting out there yourself. Right. It all teaches you something, but mainly what it teaches you is that it's not the way. Right. So if you, for example, if you're experiencing it in yourself, like if you are feeling negative, what it's going to teach you is that you manifest negatively through feeling negative. So that's the first thing they're saying. Okay. That's just general, right? Now, but of course, you learn through that. You learn to become more, energetically become more positive. The whole experience, right, that you go through on this path, divine path, where you go from very, very dense, dark energy through to high light energy. Every experience that you have, you bring to yourself for a lesson. Every single thought, every single feeling, every single manifestation into your life, you bring it to yourself to learn from, right? The biggest lesson is letting go, right, and hanging on to things that have happened or appear to have happened, and keeping them in the present moment. The biggest lesson, or the biggest the main thing to do, right, around everything that's ever happened is to let go of it. Let go of it, and don't hold on to it in the present moment. Basically, clear the way. Always clear the way for new thoughts, new emotions, new experiences. Okay, so when you look at it that way, right, it's kind of like carrying around a sack on your back, like your past experiences and your past emotions and your past thoughts, carrying around a big sack on your back filled with all that. So it really weighs you down. It makes life really, really heavy. Okay, and there's no reason to do that, is what they're saying. It's like you can just put that down and forget about it. Don't keep referring back to it. Okay, because also you don't manifest positively through bringing out all the past experiences to look at over and over and over again, or feel over and over again, or think about over and over again. You manifest through clear energy. 0 point is clear energy, right, where you're not affected by your past experiences, either emotionally or thought-wise. So you're not thinking about them and you're not tapping into feelings about them. You manifest positively through that clear energy. So what we've got, obviously, after a full moon, because a full moon is a release point, so whatever built up to the eclipse was heavy, like I say, because it was a Capricorn moon. So it will have been around family, duty, obligations, anything of that nature. Also family karma, so like bloodline stuff that you're part and parcel of, right, that you're integrated, that you're involved in. Actually, not maybe part and parcel, because a lot of who are formerly known as twin flames, because they're divine path, they incarnate into families where there is a dark bloodline, psychopathy, sociopathy, narcissism, that kind of stuff. They'll incarnate into that for the specific reason of clearing it through their interaction, their relationship with people in that bloodline, and also just energetically through that, like oil and water. Like they are the oil into the mix, so they separate out everything. It's not a physical thing, right? It's not a third dimensional thing. It's an energetic thing. It's like they push away the dark, so the dark can't stay attached to that bloodline. So it clears it. Sometimes it'll just end a bloodline as well completely. You might incarnate into families that just don't produce any more offspring anywhere. Or maybe they do, but farther away from the dark element, if you see what I mean. So, but yeah, the Capricorn full moon was very heavy and very karmic in whatever way, many different ways. And around like what was formerly known as twin flames, divine connected others, right? Two connected as one. The thing is, when that clearing has to be done, like this family lineage clearing has to be done in both bloodlines. That's really, everything's got to be cleared before the two can unite and be together, right? In a physical way, not an energetic way. Energetically, it's always connected for that clearing purpose, right? So it's like mirror experiences in the physical might have happened. So it's like whatever you experienced at that full moon that we've just gone through, to do with family karma, duty, responsibility, obligations. That's basically what it is, Capricorn. Is whatever you cleared, they will have cleared something similar. So they would have, say you just went through this moon and you had an insight, because this is what the cycles of the moon do. They bring insight, right? And then you release around that insight. So it might have, say, it brought in an experience for you where you recognise something that's always gone on in your family, like maybe a way of relating to each other, you know, that's always gone on, that's kind of been, it's gone on, but nobody's called it out and said this isn't healthy, you know, and you've thought that was normal for everyone to interrelate like that in an unhealthy way. It could be something really minor. We're not talking about a huge, like dragging a huge skeleton out of the closet. We're talking about one simple, small thing. You know, it doesn't have to be huge, because karma comes in. It drip, drip, drip like water right through the floorboards. It's not like a massive slap around the face every time. Sometimes it's insidious, right? Negativity, it's insidious. So whatever realization you had, say that was how you got this moon come to you, a realization around interactions, and you were like, oh my God, this is how we've always behaved, and this is just, now I see it, and I see how the dots connect, brothers and sisters and how they relate, and how that's filtered down from the parents, and how that affected the whole, the whole family, something like that. And you had a sudden moment of clarity around that, and you were like, bingo, right? Now that moment of clarity that you have in the connected other, that means that they also had a similar experience. Now, how two connected, right, that are called twin flames. So you've got an energetic connection that's really, really strong, basically. And the whole play out of this connection is to draw both parties into the light, right? So both parties are going to be highly empathic individuals, so far empathic that they're psychic, right? Means that they have intuitive knowing, right? Clear knowing about things. And how it works is the feminine energy, whoever is incarnated to like hold the feminine aspect in the majority of that, right? Because it can tip but in both, because they both have got to become balanced in masculine and feminine, dark and light. But one will have signed up for like, I'm going to do the feminine role, basically, which is about creating, right? And it's about clearing dark energy in a very creative way, because femininity is creation itself, right? So it's kind of like, this is about the insights. So the one that carries the feminine energy is the one that will clear through receiving psychic information, insights, right? And they both get this. They both get these insights, but the feminine, because they're creative, they're not destructive, and because they're the energy of love, right, and liberation and freedom and clarity. They actually are the energy of clarity. They're the ones that say yes to it. Okay, so they're the ones that will get an insight and be like, oh my God, that makes all makes sense now. And now I see how the dots are connected. And that means, and just having that insight, right, clears. Insights clear things, and they are open to it. The one that carries the masculine energy, the one that is kind of turned away from the path, they're not looking at the path and they're not wanting to go down it, even though they are. It's like they're stuck in the dark, right? Because they're operating from ego, which is dark energy, which we know all about, right? And they are the ones that will, when you get that insight and you have a bingo moment, bingo we say in England, I think you say lotto in the States. When they have that moment, what happens is they don't go towards it as openly as the feminine. So they'll be like, no, I'm not taking any notice of that. I'm not going to acknowledge that. I'm not going down that road with my mind. I'm not allowing that to change me. That's the kind of their modus operandus, right? Because they're negative energy, their masculine energy, their egoic energy. So it's like, no, I will not accept the insight. But when you have the insight because you're connected and this job that you're doing is bringing you both into the light, it means that they will, right, they will make a decision of some sort. Okay, so they'll make a decision. They might not know why they make it. They might not know that they are making it even. But it will be something like, if you have a sudden insight, they will have a sudden cut and dried decision that they'll make, right? Something like that. It's like the two things, you and them, the same thing goes on in both of you, but differently. So the feminine creates through like opening up to the insights and receiving the information and acknowledging it, right? And bringing herself into more light all the time. And this is why the purge goes on as well, right, with the feminine energy purging, like going down in vibration and like going into this, like the psyche, the emotions and the thoughts, and like looking at them and, harboring them. And because through that comes more insight, all right, you've got to go down into the depths to draw out the insights. So that's why that purging goes on. And the masculine energy does it again, it's resistive because it's egoic, so it's resistive to that. To go like going into a purge, but it will do. But it will go in there like it's having a depression or something. It will become resistant all right, which causes depression, because if you don't acknowledge your emotions and your thoughts, your higher thoughts, you become kind of locked in this state of denial, and that's basically what they happens. They go into denial, and that denial is suffocating to them, because basically it's killing their soul. What they're saying is, I will kill my soul. I will live here in the third dimension. I will not follow my soul. So it's suffocating, right? It's denial. And every time you have an insight, it makes them shift. So it means that you having an insight, not only you're shifting yourself, which you're constantly shifting, right? But this is how the moon does it, basically. And why that Capricorn moon, it's like karma, family stuff, duty, obligation, responsibility. It's a really important one for people that are connected like this, because it means that you might have had an insight around something like that. Now, their denial of the masculine energy is going to be very, very much in line with that moon that we just had, because it's Capricorn moon. So it's the same things: responsibility, duty. What was the other one I said? Obligation. So it's like, and family. So it's like they could have just, when you had an insight, they would have been like, maybe, right, that's it now. Okay, I've had enough of this, with with the family. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to do what they say. I'm not going to allow my mother to control me. I'm not going to allow my father to control me. I'm not going to take on board what my brothers and sisters tell me is the truth when it's not, right? Because everything's about coming into more truth, because truth is the light. Authenticity, this is like, it's got nothing to do with what you do in the third dimension. Authenticity is the truth of the soul, right? Which is it can be unburdened of all dark energy, because dark energy is merely an illusion. It's the third dimension, which is an illusion. So nothing needs to be negative. Everything can and will be positive if you come into the light. That's how you manifest, through coming into the light, right? Because you become positive, and then what comes in around you in your physical life becomes positive, because you mirror it. It mirrors back to you the state you're in, the vibration you're in. So this is how the feminine will come into the light, right? Because they manifest through this positivity. Every time they have an insight, the masculine is going to come into the light, because they're drawn into the light through the feminine doing that. And that's how the two are connected. So that's what that Capricorn moon might have done, or will have done. In one way or another, and it'll be different for everybody. Your insight, right, will lead to their action. And because it's the only way they will move. And I mean move physically and literally and metaphorically, right? And shift-wise, energetically. That's how they move. That's how they shift. So again, it's like with you, because I know you're feminine if you're watching this, because that's how it works. So with you, the thing is, it's like positivity. Do you see how important the positivity is? About positive manifestation, and not dragging around that sack of old experiences and old emotions and old thoughts. Because you can't manifest positively where you're harping on the past all the time, right? You've got to be into that 0 point and clear energy, so that you can manifest more abundance, right? And abundance means more liberation, more freedom, more joy, more happiness, more self-respect, more self-love, more self-worth, right? Anything that's positive. Make a list, whatever is positive. That's what you manifest through positivity, right? More lightness, more happiness, basically. So, yes, right. So right in the middle here, you see, we've got transformation, and then we've got happiness. This is feminine energy. Happiness is feminine energy. So that is the role of the feminine, to produce happiness, to become happiness. Happiness and love are not that far, they're not strange bedfellows. They're practically the same person, happiness and love. You can't really have one without the other, because if you're happy, you just love everything. And if you love, you're happy. So it's like, that's the transformation of the feminine, basically. And after that Capricorn moon, like I said, and it clears, after that there's a release. Now, the release as well, when the feminine releases, like whatever it is that you go through, right, this is why you mustn't carry the sack around. Because whatever it is you go through, and it can be really hard things that you're led to have an insight about, it can be really difficult acknowledgements, if it is in your family. I mean, the classic one is like a parent who's a narcissist and you don't want to acknowledge it, because it's or somebody that you love that you don't want to acknowledge that they've got an issue. If it's not narcissism, there's plenty of other dark issues out there that people are unable to release because they don't have the insight, and narcissists particularly are unable to look at themselves. They don't have self-awareness. So it can be really sad when you love someone and they don't see that in themselves, that they're manipulative or controlling or passive-aggressive or whatever. And they'll never clear it because they have no insight. So these things, it can be really hard to see this and acknowledge this in your own family. And it can lead to, getting that sack and digging around in it and drawing it all out again and then saying this life is too hard. I don't want to have to go through these things and I don't want to have to feel this, and anger and all these other emotions might come up when you experience something like that. Resistance. Anything that's negative is resistance, you see. It's resistance to the flow, and it's resistance to being in the moment, and it's resistance to the escape, basically, from the physical dimension. Because, like I said right at the beginning, everything is exactly as it should be. So there's no reason to ever feel like like anything is wrong and be in negativity. It's all about just forgiveness and letting go and going back into that state of flow, right? And releasing with the moon whatever it is you had an insight around that might have been hard to take, right? Or hard to swallow, basically. And that hard to swallow, just thinking about that as well, it's like throat chakra. That's not like, when it's a hard thing, a hard truth, sometimes your throat closes up. All these little sayings, I love it because every time it's like, it's like, it's got to come from, it's always got to have come from a higher perspective, right? It comes from channeled information. All these little sayings that humans have, they're all like that, right? So basically the transformation of the feminine that comes with the Capricorn moon is about insights, releasing karma. As soon as you have the insight, you release the karma. That's how it happens. That's how you shift. Okay? It pushes, it like blasts things away. Right? This is like all this stuff they go on about all the central sun and all the planets and everything and how they align, and they always talk about it, and it's like, this is like, it's blasting energy, right? That's what the eclipse is. It's like a huge blast of energy that just like wipes out decades and centuries and karma, lifetimes karma, okay, through insight, realizations, sudden realizations. So transformation of the feminine, right? And and then here we've got, because following behind the feminine, of course, is the masculine energy, because it's always following behind. So it's like you move, you shift, and they shift afterwards because of what you've experienced. The masculine energy, the Emperor, right? The Emperor is steadfast. So this is like the non-moving version of the masculine energy, which is very often the physical manifestation of the masculine energy. So whoever is holding that masculine energy, whoever's signed up for that role in the incarnation, is the one that's not willing to shift, not willing to move, right? This is imprisonment, the Eight of Swords. Now, he or she, whoever's holding this masculine energy, cannot shift unless you let go, right? And put down that sack that you're carrying on your back and let go of it and move forward. So what you're really transforming when you transform yourself into freedom and love and joy and abundance is anything that they're holding on to that's preventing them from shifting themselves, because they cannot shift themselves. The energetic connection is what shifts them, right? So like I said, you shifting shifts them. This is when they're going to suddenly break out of the cage because you shift. All right, so that's what we've got with this moon as well. Now, coming in, we've got a new beginning. You always get a new beginning, obviously, after the moon, because the energy starts to build again. New beginning, physical world, and we've got freedom. Right, so it's really important this time, actually, now, between this moon that we're just releasing from, right, and when the releasing is the letting go. So whatever it is you found out, let it go now, right? Let it go. Focus on building something new. New thoughts, new emotions. It doesn't matter what they are. Just create with them. Create through your imagination. Create in the physical world. I mean, I just spent an afternoon making a list of everything I need to do in the house again, thinking up new ideas of what I'm going to do in my house, how I'm going to decorate it, that kind of stuff, things I need to buy. So it doesn't matter what you do as long as it's new. And just the act of doing that, because when you're doing something like that, it means you can't be thinking about the past, right? And you can't be thinking about how you felt about what this person that you're connected to did in the past, right? And you can't be thinking about how they are or where they are or what they're doing or or when they'll do it or anything, right? When you're creating new thoughts and new like the thoughts that you have will create the feeling in you. So just doing new things with your mind is going to create a good feeling, a feeling of freedom inside you, right, where you're at 0 point. So that's like get in the flow of doing things with your mind that will create a sense of freedom inside your energy field, right, where you're not harping on the past, basically, hanging on to things, regurgitating the same old thoughts. That's what it's all about right now. Because, and why it is so important right now, is because we're leading up to this Leo moon. And the Leo moon is completely the opposite of a Capricorn, practically. I don't know, are they opposite? I don't know. But it feels like it is, because it feels like Leo is about everything that isn't to do with duty and obligation and responsibility or karma. Leo is about bright lights and, you know, being centre stage and being really like strong and forceful and assertive and being really self-centered, right, and self-acknowledging and not selfish, no, but just self-focused, right? So it's kind of like with the releasing that you just did, that's come with that moon, that's really heavy, and that was a big one because it was an eclipse. What's coming in can be anything, right? It's really powerful potential, because it's like a huge shift. Basically, it's a huge shift from the negative, which is Capricorn. Sorry, Capricorns, you're not negative, but the energy of Capricorn is heavy, right? And it's karmic, so it is negative, and it's a huge shift from the negativity to the positivity, which is Leo, right? Which is like, and Leo is fire. Fire is potential, like in the tarot as well. It's potential. So it's and you know, everything that fire symbolizes, like burning away the old, right, and being reborn like the phoenix, right, and everything that's really powerful spiritually, like dragons and stuff like that, you know. So so there's a lot of potential coming up, right? But the potential, to activate the potential, you need to, if you want to activate positive manifestation, you have to use positive. You have to be in a positive energetic state, right? So it's really important, let go of whatever just was and get in the flow doing something that creates a new, and then you'll be in the right energy to achieve a positive result, to manifest positively, right? That's really what they want to say. So don't look back. basically. Looking back will never get you moving forward. It won't get your connected other one moving forward either, because they can't lead. So there's no point looking at them. They can't lead the way, not in a physical and not energetically. So you have to lead the way by moving, facing forward, moving forward, creating positively with your mind, which will clear your emotions. And the more you get that ball rolling, the more that builds up steam. And like I say, because it's a Leo moon coming in, to start building it up now and get that going and really be in that flow when that moon hits is a really, really good opportunity for manifesting positive events of all kinds into your life, right? And because you're connected to this other one, right, and they can't do this for themselves, it means that you're also getting the ball rolling for them, making positive changes in their life, right? Because it's a Leo moon, Leo moon, it's going to be about them opening up to their own potential, right? Because that's basically what Leo is. It's like opening up to your own potential, seeing your own potential, right? Being assertive, being aggressive, being go-getty. Because the masculine energy can't do that on its own. It's destructive, it's negative, right? The feminine energy creates. So it's a huge opportunity to create movement for the masculine energy and to create a positive movement for them as well, right? It's like, I will always say this, I don't know when the last time I said it was, but it's like the feminine energy has to go on this journey where she pulls herself, she or he, pulls themselves out of a pit of despair and destruction, right? And they have tied behind them, they've got the rucksack for a start, right? And then hanging off the bottom of the rucksack on a on a rope, it's a masculine energy at the bottom of the pit. And as the feminine climbs up out of the pit, the masculine energy, well, it's hanging there. It's not even like taking the footsteps and holding onto the rope. It's like hanging off the end of the rope and you're dragging it up out of the pit. So many times what happens is, excuse me, I don't know what's going on. The feminine energy is feminine energy. So it wants everything to be fine and it wants to just everything to be open and everything to work, right? And everything to work from that energy of love. Doesn't like to be aggressive, doesn't like to be assertive. Doesn't like to be self-aggrandizing. So it's always looking for someone else to answer the questions and take the role of creator. At the start of the journey anyway, and it will look to the masculine, it will look to the other one that they're connected to, who holds the masculine, it will look to them to create what they know exists between them energetically, that feeling of oneness, manifesting that into the physical world. They look to the masculine to create that, but the masculine can't create it because the masculine is in denial, right? So the feminine has to create it and they have to create it for themselves first, and as they do, they get up out that pit and they pull the masculine. Once you're up out the pit, then the masculine can and will create in abundance. And again, the Leo moon, you see, is about self-aggrandizement. And this could be, for a lot of people, this could be the final little hike up that pit and getting over the edge for the masculine onto like the cliff top or the plateau or whatever it is. And with that, symbolically, we have like awakening, right? Also just being in a positive energy, basically, because there's no pit anymore surrounding them, pit of destruction, pit of negativity. So so that's what we've got, right? So it's got a lot of potential, basically. Now, over here we have got masculine higher self, and we've got two people connected in the physical world. Behind the scenes, masculine higher self guides the whole journey as well. So there's no point looking at this person that you're connected to in the physical world and saying, I want them to do this, and then everything will be all right. Okay? Because they won't. Because their masculine higher self guides it from behind the scenes, and what the masculine higher self is guiding the feminine incarnate to do is to get on with creating and becoming a force for good an energy of creating abundance and positivity in the physical world, right? And they do that by triggering, basically. So that's why every time you get triggered by them at the early stages of this, right, into them taking you away from love from yourself, right, or presenting you with ideas and concepts around why you perhaps should not love yourself, or question if you should love yourself, or it's like they offer you all those are opportunities for growth. Every trigger is an opportunity of growth, right? But the growth is never going to be, I wish it would change. And the growth is never going to be, I wish he wouldn't be like that. And the growth is never going to be, if only he didn't say these things. And the growth, because he can't not do those things, because he's triggering you to change your life, right? Only you can change your life. Nobody else can change your life for you. So he's triggering you to basically activate your own journey. With the triggering, that's when the journey gets activated. The triggering isn't the end of the journey, right? The triggering, if you're connected in the physical and you're being triggered, you're not in union. You basically haven't even started yet, because the triggering activates your journey towards you becoming a powerful energy for healing, right? Because you've healed yourself. You've healed yourself of all self-doubt, all delusion that you're not good enough. You've healed all your lack of self-worth, your lack of self-esteem. Just by being you and going through this journey will heal that. Nothing else will heal it. That's what you're here for, right? Because your healing is everyone's healing. Your journey of coming into being a fully healed, thriving, not just surviving but thriving feminine energy that manifests through positive energy, that's something that you create for everybody in existence, because we're all one. So that's the reason you're here. That's the overlapping journey that surrounds the two individuals, right? That's the real reason for that connection to have even incarnated, is to do this work. Yes, the work is of healing, but it's not a looking backwards healing at someone else. It's a going forward. There's a lot of detachment. You know, that these two people that incarnate, basically, they're the same person, right? They're one energy in two people. So it's the same. It will go back, up and down, back and forth all the time, right? One of them will be feeling great, the other will be feeling shit. The other one will be feeling great, the other one will be feeling shit, because they have equal amounts of masculine and feminine, both of them. One of them is holding all the more, like, operating from more feminine. The other's operating from more masculine. And they've got to get that in balance, right? And the balance requires detachment. Because then they come into, like, the justice card. Is it out here? No, it's not. Then they come into, like, perfect balance as individuals. And only then can they be connected in the physical, when they're in perfect balance, both of them, right? So, and that's guided by the higher self of the masculine. Every single trigger you receive as the feminine, every single test, they keep you on track as well. The higher self of the masculine energy will keep you on track. And I don't mean they're going to make your life easy, but I mean when you are veering off, right, the path, they will bring you back onto it with whatever is needed to bring you back on. They're basically guiding you towards becoming the strongest, well, everything I just said before, most self-empowered version of you that could ever exist. Do you see what I mean? So when you're looking at when you're still saying things like, I wish he wouldn't be like that, if only he wasn't like that, or if only she wasn't like that, or I wish, or when will he stop being like that? All this, right? If you're still saying that, you're not the most empowered version of you that will ever exist. That's why you're still in the triggering phase. When you become the most empowered version of you that will ever exist, none of those will be questions anymore. None of them. Because you won't need that other person to do anything for you to make you feel better. It's as simple as that. Nobody will have to do anything for you to make you feel better, or be anything other than what they are to make you feel better. You will just feel like, nothing is touching the sides, right? Because you're fully out of the pit. And when you're fully out of the pit, they change, because they, as you shift into this fully empowered you, they shift away from their negative, destructive self that wants to trigger you, because there's no need to trigger you anymore because you become empowered. So why would you need triggering to become empowered? You don't need it anymore once you become that, right? So basically that's that. Now, but like I say, you see, when you get this stuff coming through, right, like with these moons that we've got right now, the one that we've been through and the one that we're heading towards, this is like the masculine energy, the masculine higher self is really pushing, right? Like I say, masculine higher self pushes the feminine behind the scenes. Okay, so it's like I'm getting this so strongly right now. It's this huge push to get into a positive mindset, frame of mind. Like, this is serious shit, basically, is what the masculine higher self is telling me. This is serious shit right now about being positive and not being, what's that word? Right. Here we've got underlying everything. We've got going back, right? Going back and being sad about stuff. So all that, right? Not going back to old thoughts, not going back to old feelings. You know, like I say, if you're doing positive stuff with your life, in every single moment, so every moment counts. You know, even if it's chopping a vegetable as you're standing in the kitchen, you know, this is that present moment stuff, like look at the vegetable, look at the colour of the vegetable, look at how shiny it is, count the lines on the inside of the carrot, that kind of stuff that will just take you away from your negative thoughts, right? Or you're dwelling on the past, right? That kind of thing. It's like I'm getting a really big push to do this for them as well. You know, they want to get out of the pit. The higher self wants the masculine higher self wants the masculine out of the pit, but the masculine incarnate will not listen to soul. They just don't, because they're in ego, right? So if you're in ego and you're like still harping on things like, oh, I don't know, things like thoughts that you might have like, well, why did he go out with that girl in 7th grade? Because I know he loved me back then. You know, that kind of thing. It's like, that's not going to help. That is not going to help, because that is you being an ego, looking at it from a third dimensional perspective, thinking that that had any relevance whatsoever, apart from to trigger you into more self-love. Because everything they ever do in the physical world, the masculine, is to trigger you into more self-love. Everything. Right? And the more you get into that state of self-love, and then just let yourself be clear of it, all those egoic thoughts about it, the more potential there is for them to come in out of ego as well, and like operate from their highest self, basically, and do the things that are good for them, you know, and thrive, not just survive, right? And make big changes. That's the healing. Okay, when you do that, that is the healing. That's healing, and that's cycles, and this is timing, right? This is one cycle ending and another beginning. And that's what's coming in. Got new beginning energy, and we've got freedom in the world. That's right now, right? And then after that, we've got a new cycle and the healing. So that's the healing. It's you becoming like that, right? And really like getting yourself to resonate with everything that they've just said about, you know, being in the present moment, not thinking about things from the past in an egoic, negative. Well, everything egoic is negative, because it's all bringing it down to like small scale mentality of like, you know, oh, he did this and then he shouldn't have done that and all that kind of stuff. So the healing is letting go of all of that, right? And that's where the shifting occurs. And the healing of that is your journey, right? You're going from your lower self to your highest self, where you are going to be in that positive state more continually and more continually. But of course, the ego always wants to get hold and pull you back down the pit. So you've got to like get rid of the knapsack off your back that's filled with all those egoic things and just chuck it away. Don't worry, the rope won't go. Well, you don't have to worry anyway about any of it. It's all illusion, it's all imagination. But and with that, he can shift, right? And then your journey's complete, basically. The healing journey's complete. Once he shifts out of the pit, that's pretty much it, right? There is a bit of back and forth afterwards, but this is a major opportunity, right, to allow that to happen, right? And I'm not going to go any further in like what that means in terms of like relationship or reconciliation or any of that kind of stuff. Because that's not what the healing is about. The healing is about both energies, it's about both people coming into the light, basically, right? However, there is another aspect to this as well, and that is that the self-empowerment of the feminine is a state that they need to be in to have a healthy relationship anyway. So this healing has to be done. It has to be done before that can happen. Got that over there, look. Strength and relationship, because not only that, right, but masculine energy is destructive, feminine is creative. Feminine is or like easygoing and laid back and just wants to love and doesn't want to have to work at it and just wants everybody else to love and not work at it. But masculine energy isn't like that. Masculine energy is a warmonger. It's destructive. It's chaotic. It wants to destroy love, right? So the feminine energy has to rise up and become a much stronger version of that feminine energy before they're able to even handle this masculine incarnate version of them, who is going to be a tough cookie, basically. They are. Now, that comes in all different forms. I've seen it in all different forms. You can have really, really cerebral, cerebral, brainy masculines, right? And you can have really tough ones as well, like really heroic kind of, I think that was my connection that just said that, heroic, because that's probably how he likes to think of himself. Like that heroic kind of version of a man or a woman, police officers and fire people and all that kind of stuff. So they are tough, right? One way or another, they are tough, and they have, they're not easy. They're not easy, and what will happen is if you're not tough enough, if you're not strong enough, is that it's an overbearing. They're too overbearing. That it's not a match, right? And you just dwindle away into nothing as they take all your strength, basically, and take all your energy from you in a lot of cases. So, and really it's about fear, because they're scared of you. Because it means that kind of connection. It's the whole thing that happens at the beginning is the fear, because they're scared of opening their heart. So they're really a bit like the lion in the Wizard of Oz. When he hasn't, at the beginning, when he hasn't got any courage, rather than the actual lion in the card, much more like the one in the Wizard of Oz. Anyway, so so that empowerment has to happen, right? And the positivity as well is a facet of that self-empowerment in the feminine. No stone unturned in terms of self-worth, self-esteem, self-love, capability as well, believing in yourself. This is the time before this moon to play loads of really high energy music, really powerful feminine female singers, I would say, female singers. Could be feminine men singers as well. Yeah. Really positive songs, like empowering songs. Not things like not things like Bonnie Tyler, it's a heartache or whatever it is. Nothing down, all like it's got to be up music, powerful music. I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor springs to mind, that kind of thing, like really empowering feminine musicians put that on and blast it out. And then we've got, well, down here we've got Karma releasing with a full moon. So we've had that. Let your insights lead to more strength, basically, not into weakness. When you incarnate in a bloodline that's difficult, you incarnate in that bloodline that's difficult because it's difficult. That's part of the reason you're here, to incarnate into a difficult bloodline, right? It's not that's not a coincidence or an accident. This is the overlapping story that wraps around the connection between two people. And often the bloodlines will be very similar. Like I say, you might both have had narcissistic parents, something like that. You might both have had siblings that are in denial of the narcissism, that perpetrate it, that cast you as a black sheep, something like that. You might both have had that. With these situations comes the issues that you deal with as well on a physical level that lead to the lack of self-worth, that leads to the triggering. You've got to remember the two people that are connected, you and them, whoever you are, that are connected, you basically mirror versions of each other. So when that masculine energy at the beginning of the journey is triggering you to feel like they trigger you to have to acknowledge your lack of self-love, that you don't love yourself enough. Basically, that's what they do. That's why it's never about how much more they're going to love me. When are they going to love me? It's about how much more am I going to love myself? When am I going to love myself? Because that's what they're triggering, right? Is actually how much you don't love yourself. And what they're doing when they do that is everything that they're saying to you, it's about themselves, right? Everything that they're saying they feel about you or they feel about love is about them. It's all about them, right? Because you are them. They see them in you, except they won't open. They're too scared to even open their heart. Do you see what I mean? And that's what an underlying theme is as well of all of this, is that you feel that they are you. You feel that they're the same as you. You feel that they feel the same as you. They do, because they are you, basically. But they won't, they're in denial, right? And the denial continues until you love yourself. And once you love yourself, then they love themselves. And that's how the energy works, right? So it works energetically, not by, like I say, not by you looking backwards and trying to love them or making them love themselves or feeling sorry for them or feeling sad for them, because it will all clear, right? When you don't feel those lower emotions anymore, it will all clear. When you don't feel the sadness or the grief about how hurt or wounded they are, how damaged they are, when you don't feel any of that anymore, then that's healed in them. All right, so look out for that. Look out for when you no longer feel sorry for them because they can't love, because that means they're healing. They're nearly healed, or they are healed, right? Because once it's healed in you, it's healed in them. Okay? And that's this whole thing with the bloodline as well. It's like you have that job to do. You both have that job to do. So it's like you're going to be doing that job until it's done, right? And that's, again, like the overlap. So until that's done, you wouldn't be ready anyway, because everything has to be cleared. You've got your work to do. Right? It's not just not easy connections, these in the physical. There are connections that come along. They're a divine connection. They have divine work to do in up-leveling the whole of humanity into the light and clearing away narcissistic imprints and all other sorts of issues and disorders from bloodlines. Right? So it's like it's not all about that connection in the physical. Everything has a time, and the time is always right. Okay. And then over here we've got ending, and we've got this transition back and forth dark and light, and an ending. Right, now that's, we've got a karma ending with the moon and the release and the letting go. That is, in a sense, the same thing. It's like an ending of whatever it is that goes back and forth between you and your connection that has to be done until that work is done, right? So we've got two endings showing up in that. We've got a massive ending there in the wheel, turn of the wheel. So it's new work, right? With that. Work is finished. Whatever went past back and forth between you energetically for you to clear around. And again, that might have been something between the two of you. Or it might also this karmic thing, family lines, bloodlines, that as well. There's also a lot of higher information that comes through behind the scenes through connections within both families, between all individuals. But from what I know, it's specific. Okay, so I've seen it specific to the masculine, connected, like the masculine higher self of the person I'm connected to a masculine in my family. So them working together in higher self to engineer circumstances for me and upgrades for me, situations, right? They're not just the situation that upgrades, all right? Like the conversation, the enlightenment, the information, the moment of clarity that upgrades and shifts. Them both engineering that. So I've had that go on. So it could be, this is talking about this as well, and that work being done. And that's when that, when the karma ends, if it's something family-wise, it might be like a connection ends in your family with you because that work's been done. And that will happen to the masculine as well. This is when they're going to do that thing that I said, like wipe their hands of it and be like, from them, they think it's coming from their mind and they've just had enough, but it's not. It's actually that the shift means that they're able to move, right? So it's like it'll be them doing something like that because you've had that insight. But also what might happen is you then end a connection with a family member and they end a connection with a family member because that work's also been done in the family. So that's double endings, right? Two endings going on. So there's a lot of movement coming in. Again, we've got the potential of this Leo moon coming in, which is really good in terms of like, it's also like the freedom that we've got here, right, in the new beginning. Because this karma's done, whatever it is, it means there's more time. It's just like if you were in the physical with someone, right? And you were on a long phone call with like a member of your family and you're having to talk about something that had gone on, and you were like, and you've got your significant other and they're sitting in the background and they've got all the buckets and spades and the deck chairs ready and they want to go to the beach and they're like looking at their watch and you're still on the phone and you're having this chat and then the end of the full moon eclipse and you put the phone down and it's like, yeah, we can go now. And the Leo moon's coming in and it's like fun times, right? And it's really good times coming. So it kind of feels like that for like these connections. And then down here opposite that ending, we've got the end of the dark night of the soul for the masculine, right? So this is like the tip of the edge of the pit, up at the top of the edge of the pit. And we've got the connection itself in the Two of Cups. So it's like an opportunity. Everything's an opportunity. Nothing is a given because you can't have expectation. It's an opportunity and you create through your positivity the outcome around the opportunity. That's a really important thing to know. That's like when they talk about your matching vibration, it is not a matching vibration because you're matching with them. It's a matching vibration because you get yourself into a better vibration and they match it. Right? So it's still the feminine has to do the work. The feminine always has to do the work. So there's no like sitting back in terms of matching vibration and just like hoping it will some point match, right? Or like wondering is it the time now that we're matched? No, because if you're doing that, you've got to get in the positive mind frame and you've got to create that positive vibration, and that is the healing. Your positive mind frame is their positive mind frame, right? Your positive intention is their positive intention. Your movement forward towards the positive intention is their movement forward towards their positive intention. Okay, so that's basically what's coming up. And that's why it's so important right now for me to do this, basically, because they've been nagging at me since yesterday to get on with it in very many various ways, which I won't go into. And let me just see if there is anything else. That they want to talk about. I'm sure there's loads they want to talk about, but I'll see if there's anything that's important and pertinent to this moon that's coming up in Leo. Oh, that's one. There we go. Process. Hanged Man. I don't know how long we've got until this moon. It's about a week, is it now? Maybe a little bit less, I'm not sure. What else? Time for celebrations, basically. Time to enjoy yourself, get out, enjoy yourself, socialise, that kind of thing. Right, we've got more clarity coming in, information, change, the Lovers, Four of Pentacles, which is present moment, Empress, which is rebirth, Queen of Wands, which is an empowered feminine, Six of Wands, success, Two of Wands, choices, and Knight of Wands, which is really strong energy, moving. We've got like lightning bolt energy coming in then, because Knight of Swords and opposite Knight of Wands with the Empress in the middle. So this is like a moment, a rebirth portal, basically. So again, really stay in your higher self, basically. If ever there's a time, right, to like not go down into the doldrums, it's now. Lucid, clear thoughts is what they're talking about, leading to action, right? That's what that is. Lucid, clear thoughts in the Knight of Swords. See that one? Lead to action in the Knight of Wands down there. Thoughts to action. That's what they're on about. That's the process they're talking about. Thoughts lead to action. Rebirth in the middle. And then we've got the Lovers, and opposite that we've got success. Well, that speaks for itself, doesn't it? The Lovers and success. And then over here we've got Five of Wands, which is all about change. I mean, it's also, the Five of Wands can be like chaos and confusion and ego, but there's so much potential right here in this that it's more about limiting damage, okay, I feel, around choices is opposite it. So it's a direct choice in relation to your ego, right? So it's like changing the way that you are maybe viewing things, changing the way that you're feeling. I don't mean changing like I used to like blue and now I'm going to like pink better. I mean, changing like how much you allow your emotions to have control over yourself, basically, because we've got the present moment there and we've got self-empowerment of the feminine here, right? Four of Pentacles, right? It's this moment right now. And the Queen of Wands, which is self-empowerment of the feminine. So the self-empowerment is how much control are you going, and how much chaos and confusion are you going to allow to cloud your judgment, basically, because we've got clear thoughts leading to clear action. So this is like holding off, holding at bay negative thoughts, basically. It's like, let me see what's underneath. Ten of Cups is relationship, okay, and completion as well. Let's put one more out. So like I said, you've got to, I always like to see it like this. This is how I see it, is we are each one of us a little mini portal, right? So everything that happens, like astrologically, like all these big events, because a lot of astrologers, when they talk about it, they talk about it as though it's happening outside of us and like we should be watching it and looking at it and waiting for something to happen. But actually, we are each one of us a mini universe. So everything is happening inside of us. So it's like everything when it aligns astrologically, everything aligns in the way it does, in a specific way to create a specific result. That result is coming from inside of us. So it's not about us watching things and waiting for something to happen, because again, that's the thing of like looking at someone else waiting for them to change or for them to do something. It's an opportunity for ourselves to change ourselves, to transform ourselves. And it's always around the ego, because the ego is the lower aspect of self. And the higher aspect is free of self-limiting thoughts and beliefs, right, which lead to self-limiting actions. So it's the clarity. You create the clarity now. That's what it is. So the karma that came with the Capricorn, right, which is about duty, obligation, that is what's done to you. That's out of your hands, okay? Family stuff. And also egoic, like what you should do, okay, in certain situations, what you've led to believe you should do, right? Or this karma. Leo is about self-aggrandizement, right? It's me. So it's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What is really true to you? So it's kind of like you're turning the wheel on that now with the switch from the Capricorn to the Leo. And it's like clarity in your thoughts around anything that's been limiting you is going to lead to right action. Right thoughts lead to right action. I'm not talking about some idea of what's right or not. I'm talking about what is right energetically for who you are right now in this moment. Okay. Was there something else I was saying about that Five of Wands? Dump the baggage. If you haven't dumped that backpack by now, dump it. This is the time to dump it. You don't have to carry it all around with you. It's not necessary to complete your journey. It's not what's needed. Could be you start off the journey and you think you need all those old thoughts and emotions that you've got in there, like they're going to complete the task ahead of you, but they're not what's going to complete the task ahead of you. It's a process of elimination that completes the task ahead of you, not a process of hanging on. It's a letting go. Right, you've got to let go to go towards the light. Okay, timing is coming out on Empress, so it's time of rebirth into who yourself, I wouldn't say self-aggrandizement, your self-centeredness, your self-absorption, your willpower, your self-will. It's like use the positivity of the Leo moon to will yourself into who you're meant to, you are, right? Who you're meant to be here. It's like a push going on into this authority of self. Let's have a look at these. Freedom in the moment. So again, it's the same thing they just said, isn't it? It's like you only have the moment that you're in. That's why the backpack full of stuff from the past is not necessary, because none of it relates to the moment you're in. And all is required in the moment that you're in is letting go. Letting go of everything. That's it. Letting go. And then you're automatically in higher energy and you're your higher self. And that is where the information comes from, the clarity. That comes from maybe the insights, or maybe not, just from the clear energy. When you've got completely clear energy, you still get clear information coming through. That's clear knowing. And that leads to the action. What's over here on her? The Emperor. Masculine energy incarnate. So, again, it's that really powerful portal that we're going through. Oh, that's what I was saying, isn't it? Yeah, we're all a mini portal. So all these things happen inside us, right, that are astrologically out there. So the fact that we have dropping the karma with a Capricorn, we there have this, like, what's going on now, this huge, like, push towards this, like, this sense of freedom as we're liberated from that karma and pushed towards this, like, this self-assertive Leo moon. It's like an opportunity for growth in a way that we haven't had for, I don't know, I've never known this before. All right, I've never felt this push before like this. It's an opportunity of unburdening yourself of everything from the past as you move into like a new aspect of self. And that, if you have that for you, then that is the same in the masculine energy, because what happens energetically in you, like I say, is what happens energetically in them. So you take the opportunity to rebirth yourself in the most powerful way. And that might not be what you've been told you should be like. You know, it might be you were told to be a mouse and you were told to sit back and shut up. And like I say, you were told a version of a story that is not the truth, right? And that limited you. And now it's time to break free. Okay? That story is in the backpack, and it's time to drop that backpack with that old story in it, that you were the black sheep, or you weren't deserving of love, or whatever it is that you've been, you know, that's been hanging on to you. Okay, what else have we got? Movement, the Lovers, so just movement towards love, basically. Every shift is a movement towards love. Right, and that is not an old standardized version of love and relationship. It's a movement towards unconditional love, which is liberation of the self. Unconditional love starts with the self. It starts with feeling unencumbered by the past, right? And by limitations that stop you coming into your full power. Okay, healing, Six of Wands. So it's just movement towards love is the healing itself, right? Movement towards self-love is the healing itself. That's it. And it goes in one and it's also going on in the other. Knight of Swords. And we've got the Wounded Warrior coming out again. So that's the end of the dark night of the soul for the masculine energy. And we've got enlightenment there for them in the Knight of Swords. What's on this Knight of Wands? Happiness. Again, sense of liberation and joy. Freedom, really high energy. It's really high energy that's coming in with this Leo moon. And that energy needs to be used to positively manifest events, basically. Let me just put that down there. I would say the energy, that to use the energy wisely, right? To not make it about somebody else. Because again, any form of making this, you can't positively manifest somebody else, okay? Because everybody's got free will. But if you, again, that's looking at the past and it's looking at someone else. Positively manifesting in your life leads somebody else to positively manifest in their life. Free themselves, basically. energetic connection. Okay. And do you remember I said in those other cards, it's the higher self of the masculine energy that pushes the feminine and the physical to do this. And this is why I'm basically being shouted at to do this right now, is because I've got my masculine higher self pushing me to not just do this for myself, but to get the information out as well. Because they're like, it's go time, basically, for this. And it's like, you've got to do it. Because if you don't do it, I can't do it. What else have we got? Love, and there's a very calm card, Seven of Pentacles. What are you meaning by that? Final destination, they're saying. Pain. Three of Swords is pain. Ending. Final destination is an end to the pain. What else have we got there? Moon and emotions. Got the same cards coming out again. Eight of Cups and Four of Cups, which is about not going back to the past. Direct choice, okay? Use your will, direct choice, basically. There's, you have a choice, basically, at this time. The energy is so powerful that you've got a choice. Are you going to choose to sit there in the old emotions, stagnant old emotions? Or are you going to change it? And are you going to operate through a sense of abundance, basically, and move towards a new choice? What's that over there? Process. One on there. Six of Cups is coming out on the Ten of Cups. Six of Cups is about reconciliation and reunion. Let me just have a look at these, because this is confusing me a bit. Right. So these were out before. Eight of Cups and Four of Cups came out together. And that is the underlying thing. And that is, okay. So the past is an illusion, all right? That's the first thing they just said. The past isn't even, it's not relevant, basically. So there's no point thinking about the past because it's irrelevant. I've already said billions of times before in other videos that when you reconnect with somebody that you've got this connection with, you're both drastically changed. So that is a given, right? So they're never going to be who they were, and you're not who you were. So there's no point harbouring on the past with that. That only leads to pain. Right. Choice. We've got choice and we've got deliberation. They just said Seven of Pentacles, deliberation. So it's not a time to deliberate on your choice, basically. End the pain. End the pain now. Let's just see what else they say. Oh, and we've got the King of Swords coming out, which is the masculine energy in their authenticity, which is their truth, and the strength of the feminine. So it is about using willpower. Again, Leo is all about willpower. So this is a go with the flow, Queen of Cups. It's a really important portal. You are a really important portal right now because it's all going on inside of you. This astrological lineup, which is giving you a really, really big push, basically, to make use your willpower to decide what you're going to manifest, to decide what energy you're going to function from. You're going to function from lower energy. You're going to function from higher energy. Are you going to stay in the pain? In which case they stay in the pain as well. Or are you going to go with the flow, let go of the past, and rise into the strength of the feminine, right? So it's like, don't deliberate on the choice, just do it, basically, is what that's saying over there. So that's it, right? It's just a really, really important moon that's coming up. And there is a push from the higher self with the masculine energy, basically, to get on track with what the job is actually about. You know, the job is about you up leveling out of all lower aspects of self, and therefore they can up level out of all lower aspects of self. And these connections are so important. They're important to humanity. They're more important to humanity than they are to the two people that are representing the connection. The two people representing the connection are literally just doing the job of bringing the connection into fruition, right? Doing the energetic work through it. But the connection itself functions for the whole of humanity, in bringing the whole of humanity into the light and out of the dark. So that's why they're really important. And that's why the message is really important. So I don't know if there's anything else that needs to be said, really. Oh, her, self-empowered you. Yeah, make sure it's it's all about you. It's not about anybody else. It's not what anybody wants you to be or thinks you should be. It's also not people pleasing. Make sure you don't confuse your most authentic you with being your best authentic you for somebody else, right? Because that is not what is required for the job ahead, basically. Process for two people. Did you see that come out? So the process that we're going through is for two people, not for one. And anything else? Anything else? See, it all comes back to you when the time's right, when the work's done. It all comes back to you. And all the fear is eliminated. Questions about being stuck. You're never stuck. I said that, didn't I? No one's ever stuck. Everything's exactly where it's meant to be. Even the negative things that happen to you, that you experience. This all serves a purpose. Bringing you into your highest self. Because you can only let go of negativity when you experience it, right? When you witness it, when you feel it, when you encounter it. Because you wouldn't know what it was if you didn't. Okay? And that is in you as well. And we've got movement now. So if you were in a negative state, that karma's released. It's a chance to bring it home, basically. Complete. We've got home, completion. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to leave it there. Lots of love. And remember, keep your thoughts positive. Keep your vibration up. Heading towards home, they just said. And yeah, that's it. All right. Feel free to share the video. Just say that as well, because I don't put it out there with twin flame on it because I want people to find it because they're meant to find it, not find it because they're looking for twin flame. Because if they're looking for twin flame, they're probably not meant to be. I wasn't looking for it when I found it. Do you see what I mean? So but yeah, if you feel guided to share it, that would be good. All right then, lots of love. Bye.